Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and thanks again for tuning in to According. Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor. It's Michelle Taylor Willis. Back at you. You're watching According to Michelle. In the hustle of life, sometimes we forget what's important. Sometimes we need to think like children. They understand it's the simple things in life that bring joy. Maybe it's connecting with an old friend and sharing grand stories. Yes, business is important, but it's connection that builds a community. Maybe it's time to catch a movie with a loved one and get reacquainted with what's truly important. This is the spirit of the city of South Fulton, where families experience that more lives here. Hey guys, what's up? It's Michelle Taylor Willis with another episode of According to Michelle. And here I am once again sitting in what I wish was my living room, but it's not. It's Eleanor's place, guys. And this is an amazing spot if you are a woman, because it's specifically for women. It's a woman-owned co-working spot, but it's absolutely beautiful in here. And if you want to feel like a queen every time you walk in, you absolutely have to come and see Jennifer and Christina here at Eleanor's place. But we're broadcasting here again today, and I have one of my faves, one of my favorite people here, and he smiles with like all 35 of his teeth, just like ting. I'm so happy to introduce you to Dr. Zwade Marshall, who is an interventional pain specialist. He's also entrepreneur extraordinaire, but one of those entrepreneurial endeavors is medicine, and the other one is in fintech. So I want to introduce you to him because he is just a wealth of knowledge and resources across all planes. But he's also kind of a cool guy to be a doctor.
Thank you, Michelle.
Dr. Zwade Marshall, everybody.
Thank you.
Hey! And this is where, like, if I were on the radio show, all the fake clap would happen. Not like claps, but like applause, fake applause. So.
Well, you are indeed my favorite person.
Really?
And
am I really?
Well.
Do you mean that for real?
I have a wife and kids, but
outside
right
of
after them.
Even like your mom?
No, my mom's ahead of you too. If you keep asking, there'll be more people ahead. So let's stop right now. But you're one of my favorite people. And
how are you embarrassing me on my own show?
It's a pleasure.
First of all, you tried to show up my watch because I forgot my nice watch. He's like, oh, it'll never stand up against mine.
I don't think the viewers want to hear
this. And then he tells me you're my favorite person after the first 35 to 40 people. Explain, how does that happen?
So listen, I'm thrilled to be here with you. I'm a huge fan of yours. I love the platform. Congrats on the show.
Thanks.
And you're killing it as always. And so I'm pleased to be here with you.
Is that your cleanup?
No, I'm serious. It's really a privilege to be here with you.
Okay, now
the space is immaculately designed as well. I think Eleanor's did a fantastic job with the layout.
It is really cool, right?
It's really cool. If I were allowed to, I would come work here as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you would just pay for somebody's membership. I don't know. I don't know who. If I had to think of somebody.
Always selling, but you got sold. Sold.
Really?
Yep.
You'll pay for my membership?
Sure.
You are absolutely now, for real, one of my favorite people. When I said it earlier, I really didn't mean it. But now, Dr. Zwade Marshall is MTW fave for at least the next 1 to 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Now, you said that in front of like 2 million people, and then all the hundreds and hundreds of thousands that are going to see this on YouTube, so there's no coming back from this.
Fair enough.
But I know that you are a man of your word, so I'll hold you to it.
I aspire to be.
But seriously, no, I am super excited to have you here because I've known you for a while, and I think you are absolutely fantastic. I tell you that all the time. But one of the things that I really love about you is this: you have a servant's heart, right? And you're a physician, and we're going to talk about a little bit what you do in that medical space in a minute. But you just have an entrepreneurial spirit. You have a spirit of helping and of serving. Anytime I mention anything to you, you automatically go to, how can I help them? What can I do? Where does that come from?
Wow. Well, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, it's true.
I think I've had a fairly typical immigrant experience. As someone who was born and raised in the underprivileged world, I'm from Guyana, British Guyana to many, but Guyana in South America.
That's where you get that cool accent.
Is it cool?
It's kind of cool, yeah, because you can't really place it. You're like, what is he?
It's the Queen's English. It's a
The
British,
Queen's.
it's a British accent. And so I moved here with my mom, who's a single parent, and my sister. And the whole point of us moving from Guyana to the U.S. was because I was poised to enter college, and she wanted to have a better life for me and my sister. And so having that kind of historical background in my family, and that sacrifice that I've witnessed personally from my mother's end, and in my family, it's the collective family that got me to where I am. You can't help but recognize the need in others for help as well. And so it's been a part of who I am because of where I'm from.
I get that. So let me ask you a question. Did you see that in your mother? Did you see her displaying that type of give back?
Sure. I think, she embodies it. So when I was a young child, I remember going on bicycle rides with her when I was about 6 or 7 years old.
You used to ride your bike around the neighborhood? Or?
That's right. But we used to go on longer rides.
Yeah.
And we used to ride past this building that turned out, I realized several years later, that it was a home for orphaned and abandoned kids. It was called the Convalescent Home in Guyana. And one of the times we rode past, she stopped and we went inside to play with the kids. And I remember seeing these are children that were from infants to teenagers that were all in this group home, and we would take toys and play for a few, maybe an hour on our bike ride. And there was a little girl in that home who did not compete for my attention. So all the kids would kind of try to get around you and see what you brought to play with that day. And there was a girl that would always sit back and intently observe, but would never come over to interact. I'll fast forward and tell you that she's now my sister, and we adopted her. And so my first exposure to that kind of human interaction, understanding the human condition beyond the four walls of my home, came from my mom taking me to meet my sister because I said, "Mom, can we take her home?" After going there maybe 3 to 4 times, and then we did. And so she's Zakia Marshall. I'm proud of her. My younger sister, who's here in Atlanta with us as well.
So wait a minute, what a cool. Now I feel like I knew a lot of things about you, but I don't know if I've ever heard that story. So. One, what strikes me is that I know you love riding bikes because you ride bikes. I know you bought your wife a cool bike for her birthday a couple months ago, but you always talk about riding bikes with your kids and riding bikes with your family.
Sure.
But this is something that you've been doing as a child and something that you were very fond of, a very fond memory with you and your mom.
I never placed it until you just put it together for me, but you're right. I think one of the proudest moments I've had was seeing my son, who's now 4, learn to ride his bike without training wheels. And so for bike riding is more than riding a bike to me, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the second thing is obviously your mother exposing you guys to those less fortunate, so that even if we feel less fortunate, there's always someone else that's worse off, right?
Sure.
I mean, the whole thing is just so heartwarming and endearing. So many things now make sense about you.
I'm not sure what that means, but
it's very good.
Thank you. It's the servant attitude was one that my mom embodied, and it's something that we grew up in the house knowing that we were placed here to do more, to make an impact, to help people. I think I chose medicine because it kind of magnified my reach to be able to impact more lives. But I have a business background as well as a medical background. And at a time when I was applying to Harvard for my residency, it was a unique skill set to have because this was way before the Affordable Care Act was in place. And there was a lot of talk about economics in medicine. And because I had a context and a lens through which I can view the way healthcare was being delivered and contemplate different delivery mechanisms and systems, think about the way operating rooms function. If a case gets canceled in an OR, what's the next best case to put in there? And then you go a step farther into You're providing pain management services. How do you balance the competing aims, the policy goals of this opioid epidemic and the lives that are being lost due to drug overdose deaths with the fact that over 100 million Americans suffer from chronic pain every day and need to have help. And sometimes opioids are very helpful. So being able to kind of to utilize my background and knowledge and skill set to bring those things together, to practice comprehensive medicine in an empathetic way where my goal is functional restoration and ensure that patients are able to achieve the things that they want to achieve in their lives. It's not about treating a pain score. I rarely ever ask for your level of pain on a scale of 0 to 10, because that's a meaningless number.
Right. And you're taught to ask that.
You're taught to ask that. That's right. And part of why there's an opioid crisis because of that pain scale. But I think if a patient tells me, Doc, I want to be able to stand in church during the hymns. I have to sit down during the hymns right now. I just want to stand up. I want to play with my grandkids. I want to walk to my mailbox and get my mail. Those are real, tangible goals that I can help them get to by ensuring that they get the right care at the right time.
Right. Well, it's interesting you said, I don't know if you know this, but I actually used to sell Duragesic. Did I ever tell you that?
You did not. I did not know that.
You did not know that
You're
about
a pharmacy sales rep.
That was. So when we sold Duragesic, and for those of you who don't know, Duragesic is a pain patch. It's opioid. It's narcotic. So it's Schedule II.
Fentanyl. Yep.
It's fentanyl. That's right. But at the time, it was safer than a PO med or medicine you take by mouth because it was a patch and theoretically patients couldn't abuse it. But one of the things we would tell doctors is this was originally it was just for cancer patients, but then we kind of got the indication for long-term chronic pain care.
Sure.
Then we could say, listen, this is your functional pain management drug of choice because this is the drug you want to give patients that want to stand up and sing hymns in church or that want to walk from the mailbox and back that haven't been able to do it, right? But, you know, as all opioids have been, you know, they've contributed to this crisis that we're in now. And it's unfortunate because I think there are a lot of good physicians that really did want to help administer exactly and just have kind of gotten wrapped into the system, so to speak.
So this is a problem that I think there's a collective creation of this problem. Doctors are culpable. Pharmaceuticals are culpable as well.
Sure.
And the policymakers are also. And I'll tell you, the 1990s, the pendulum had swung all the way to one side where the edict at the time was, if you don't address a patient's pain in the ER or in the hospital or in your pain clinic, you're an unethical physician. And you treat pain and treat it aggressively. So they created these patient satisfaction surveys where doctors were graded and a part of their compensation was tied to the score that patients gave them on these surveys. And they directly asked about pain scores, 0 to 10. And if a patient ranked a doctor below, let's say pain score being higher than 5 or 6, it was a ding on their record. With that kind of background or backdrop, the pharmaceutical industry said that OxyContin, for instance, is non-addictive. And they encourage physicians and hospitals to prescribe more and more of it. And so we created this desire, this hunger for these medications. It's a uniquely American problem. America is 4.3% of the world population, yet we consume 83% of all oxycodone and 98% of all hydrocodone. And
that's crazy.
We in this country alone, we use more hydrocodone or Vicodin than Italy, Germany, France, and Spain combined. And so there's something unique about the American way of practicing medicine, about the history of opioids in this country that has created this pandemic.
So it lines up really with everything because we do things so uniquely different in America.
Supersize me, right?
I mean, yeah, there's so many things that are different and so many challenges from which we suffer as Americans that the rest of the world that's just as, you know, industrialized and advanced and modern as we are they don't have those same challenges.
Sure.
So it really shouldn't come as a surprise that we treat medicine differently, that we administer addictive, drugs differently, all of that stuff. It's just insane.
And I think a part of it is that pain is this complex, emotional, psychological reaction to a stimulus, right? It's not just a physical ailment. A lot of what happens in pain also happens up here. And that's not to diminish a pain experience, but it's to say that it's so complicated that you cannot just attribute a burn or an injury or an inflammation to the patient's pain experience.
Right.
And so the more we frame how we treat pain as being this kind of binary thing of opioids or not, the more we do the disservice. And so a part of what I aim to do is to go beyond just narcotics and just opiates. It's more about having the right kind of exercises. Watkins back protocols for opening up those back muscles. It's the right kind of exercises for core stabilization. It's the right kind of diet as well. Using the good multivitamins, having things like glucosamine and chondroitin that are good for joints. It's spine intervention when necessary. So we do a lot of the innovative things in medicine right now within my practice. Stem cell therapy, platelet-rich plasma, ketamine infusions, the whole host of spine intervention going from spinal cord stimulators to vertebral and kyphoplasty procedures. And so if you're hurting anywhere, headaches, joint pains, back pain, there's something that we can do to be helpful for you.
Which is interesting because it seemed, to your point, you have this kind of holistic approach to medicine, right? Or to pain management. So it's almost like you've got this traditional medicine, and then you've got like this DO approach, right?
Sure.
Then you've got like the the psychological piece of it, like all of these different chiropractic even, and
Sure.
naturopathic.
I didn't even mention CBD and
right.
THC.
Well, I said naturopathic. I wasn't going to go there. You said it, which is fine. It's fine to say it. But so you have all of these different pieces that you can play with.
Sure.
To help you get that patient back to functionality. And so that's why I'm excited, because you've got this new practice opening in September, right?
That's correct. Regenerative Spine and Pain Specialist. It's in Fayetteville, Georgia, 875 West Lanier Avenue. It's about a mile and a half from Piedmont Fayette Hospital. And I'm looking to serve the patients of the metro Atlanta area, not just Fayetteville, but Fayetteville, Peachtree City, Atlanta. We're open for business. I see patients from all over the country.
All over the country?
Well, I have a few internationals as well.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You got some of your old buddies from Guyana coming over to see you?
That's very true.
Which certainly wouldn't surprise me. But it's interesting. So I want to go back to this entrepreneurship piece I mentioned earlier, right? Because you're opening and you've got your own practice now. But you also, in the spirit of helping and reaching back, helping physicians and dentists,
sure.
right? So you've got also, you play in the fintech space a little bit, right?
That's right.
With your Doc-to-Doc lending platform. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So you said fintech, and most people may not know that fintech is financial technology.
Sure.
So it's a blend between finance and a tech-enabled finance. Now, as a physician, and you guys know what we discussed now, that I went from Atlanta to Boston to go from Emory to Harvard. That's at a time when I was earning really minimum wage in residency for the hours that you work.
Sure.
I had a lot of student loan debt because I have 3 Emory degrees, and my FICO score was suboptimal. So having to get last month's rent and broker fee in Boston was quite a heavy lift for my family. I had to borrow the money, and the banks looked at my profile and said, "You're a high-risk borrower," because of my relatively low FICO score, my high student loan debt, and my low earnings. So the interest rate was through the roof. It felt unfair, and it is unfair, because as a physician, my career trajectory was well defined, and we knew where I was going to be in the next 4, 5, or 6 years.
Right.
So what Doc-to-Doc aims to do is we look at doctors prospectively. We say we know where you are today, but we know where you're going to be in 5 years. And because of that, and because of the toll and the taxing circumstances of being a physician and going through that training program, we don't want to penalize you for that sojourn. So we look at you prospectively by measuring your specialty, Are you in cardiology or pediatrics or gynecology? We look at where did you train? Are you at the Mayo Clinic? Are you at University of Miami? And all of these factors help to bring your score lower relative to the competition. And because of it, we've been quite successful. So if you look at our rates relative to our peer institutions out there, we're a lot more cost efficient. We process our loans faster. And every time a borrower comes to our platform, they'll speak to a physician who can empathize and understand the plight that they're in at that time in their lives.
And not just some bank that's looking at you as numbers on a sheet saying no right now, or yeah, but we're going to charge you out the wazoo.
That's exactly correct.
So you literally you give money to physicians and dentists who need help. Now, are these large loans or they're micro loans? Or?
That's correct. So it's physicians and dentists. If you're a fourth-year medical student, right up to a practicing doctor. So folks will borrow for relocation expenses. Some will borrow to buy shares in a practice. Others will consolidate credit card
So you
debt.
actually will lend money so that people can invest.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yes. Yep. It's between $5,000 and $50,000.
Okay. So are there like prepayment penalties or anything like that?
None.
I'm not a physician or a dentist, but I'm just curious, like, because it seems like such a great idea.
Thank you for asking. Yeah. So because we know that doctors will reach a stage in their lives where they'll be able to make payments quite reliably.
Sure.
We encourage them to repay our loans quickly without penalties, so no prepayment penalties, because I think being debt-free is a great thing. And if you can afford to pay off that loan fast, we want you to do it. And we don't care so much about the interest that we've lost in that prepayment.
Gotcha.
So we certainly encourage that.
Right.
And we help to counsel our applicants on reasons to avoid debt. So as we have that conversation, we're not financial advisors.
Right.
But we're careful to ensure that folks understand the gravity of debt. But for many of us, we just don't have the earnings to support necessary expenses like board exams, or that relocation expense.
Right. And I love the financial literacy piece that kind of comes with it, because that's missing in a lot of things, right?
And, like medical school and residency and fellowship, it's fantastic for clinical medicine, but there's no exposure to finances.
Right.
And doctors are taken advantage of often because of it. So we'll come out of training like draft lottery picks, where today you're broke and tomorrow you're making a significant amount of money.
Right. I have no idea how to navigate that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And how to manage that.
Right.
And how to kind of know about insurance products and all the plethora of financial instruments that brokers and advisors will push on us without us having the savvy to navigate that process.
Right. It's all fantastic. Guys, we're sitting here, it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and we're with Dr. Zwade Marshall. Who is that? That's how you say Marshall in French. I don't know. I just made that up. But Dr. Marshall owns Regenerative Spine and Pain Specialist in Fayetteville, and he also is one of the founders of Doc to Doc Lending, which is a lending platform specifically for physicians and dentists. And so we're just talking about everything: entrepreneurship, servant leadership, medicine, opioids. We're covering a lot here in this 30 minutes or so we've gotten. But one of the things I did and we're going to play a game too, because I play games with all my guests. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Okay.
Am I making the doctor nervous?
I don't lose.
I'm not going to stick a big needle in your
I
back.
don't want to lose on TV.
You won't lose on TV, I
Okay.
promise. He'll absolutely lose on TV. But so just kind of connecting all these dots here. You're an entrepreneur. You're certainly a servant leader, and I love all of the recognition that you've kind of gotten just over the years. I mean, 40 Under 40, from memory, you started like a pilot program while you were at Emory. That's still in existence, right?
Yeah, the Pipeline program.
Pipeline,
I'm really part of that, yes. Classmate and I, Sam Funt, who's now at Columbia, he's an oncologist there. We started a program to mentor high school kids out of a challenged high school in Atlanta, and we call it the Pipeline program because you can see the entire educational pipeline in any of our mentoring sessions. We had sophomore high school kids paired with sophomore college undergrads, paired with second-year medical students, and then we had residents in there helping to teach these courses as well. So it was really math and science academy with the goal to bring the kids out of their environment those high school kids into a college campus so they can see and touch and hug college kids, doctors, and see themselves in those shoes. For me, that was instrumental for me to aspire to achieve, and seeing someone that looks like me, that's where I wanted to be.
Right. Seeing is believing, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And one of our early grads, Alyssa Clore, I'll say her name publicly. Alyssa, we're thrilled to have been associated with her. She won a Gates Millennium Scholarship out of our pipeline program, went to Spelman for college, and ended up doing I think she went to pharmacy school afterwards. So it's a great program. We celebrated our 10-year anniversary 2 years ago, so it's now been 12 years around. And the leadership team at Emory has been fantastic. It's Dr. Yolanda Hood, Dr. Robert Lee, and the wonderful undergrads and medical students that are still involved in the program.
That's awesome. I mean, legacy, we talk a lot about legacy on this show, but you're leaving, you've already left some legacy, you're continuing to leave legacy, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more legacy that you're going to lead, especially even as you're training and educating and mentoring physicians and youngsters and all that. And I love what you said about the training with physicians. I mean, when I work with physicians, I know that you're trained on medicine and clinical aptitude, and that's it, right? Sure. You're not trained on how to run a business. So I think it's so smart that you have your MBA, right? Because you have both sides of the scale as an entrepreneur and a clinician. You can't just see medicine. You have to know HR, you have to know operations, you have to know finance, and collections and all of those things so that you can oversee it and make sure that the person that you hire to do all those things is actually able to do it, right? And so I feel like, there should be business courses at med school because there's so many physicians who end up as entrepreneurs, and as business people.
You're absolutely correct. I think that there's now a burgeoning world of MD, MBA dual degrees in several medical schools across the country now. And I think the way healthcare has been changing from a policy perspective in the US has forced doctors to kind of grapple with understanding business more. And I view it as a challenge that I enjoy. Like I like, using a different part of my brain on a daily basis where I get to think about the anatomy, the pharmacology and physiology about a patient complaint. And then at the end of the day, I'm thinking about the economics of it as well. So it's a fun kind of practice diversity, where there's diversity of thought for me on a daily basis. And many folks like me enjoy the business side of medicine as well. And so seek formal education in it as well.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're sitting here with Dr. Zwade Marshall. He's the owner and lead physician at Regenerative Spine and Pain Specialist in Fayetteville. He's also the founder of Doc2Doc lending platform for physicians and dentists. So it's game time. Can we get some music, please? Like the Jamaican gun thingy that they played in the clubs that nobody hears anymore because nobody goes to the club anymore. Anyway.
Did you hear the Beanie Man and Bounty Killer verses?
The what?
So you only said Jamaica because you know Jamaican reggae.
Yeah.
You don't really know Jamaican music, I guess.
I know Bob Marley and.
Got it. So Bob Marley is a phenom, but there's also Beanie Man and Bounty Killer.
I know Beanie Man and I know Bounty Killer.
So they almost broke Instagram a few months ago.
No.
Doing a versus battle in the pandemic.
I didn't see that.
COVID. Yeah, it was great.
It was.
It was fantastic.
What's your favorite Beanie Man song?
Girls Them Sugar.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You weren't even born when that song came out.
I'm older than I look.
Please.
Black don't crack.
Well, that's fair enough. There's that. Okay, so here's the game. It's called What's Wrong With Me. Okay? It's called What's Wrong With Me. So you have to give me, and I got to give credit to my media apprentice, Sierra. She comes up with all these. I literally ask her 5 minutes before, give me a game to play. And she's so good, she just comes up with it. Okay. So you have to give me some ailments, and then I have to figure out what's wrong with the patient. So
wait, so hold on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just give you symptoms, and then you'll tell me exactly what it is.
I'll give you a diagnosis.
Okay. I am a 32-year-old female, and I have really bad headaches that radiate to the back of my head. It happens daily, particularly at the end of the day. I don't usually wake up with them. Bright lights make it worse sometimes, but generally it's more caused by movement.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, right?
Go ahead.
Did your mother drop you on your head as a baby?
She did not.
Okay. Migraine.
Okay, so that's a good guess.
That's fair, right?
Right.
That's
sure.
not what you're thinking of.
No,
Don't tell me.
You could have asked more questions.
I'm going to ask more
But I'll
questions.
tell you why migraine's a good guess.
Why?
The photosensitivity, right?
Right,
So
the lights. And you said
and
sometimes
daily
movement.
headaches. Yeah.
And
sure.
as the day progresses.
But if I'd also said that, like it's I see like twinkling lights as well, or it's been happening since I was a teenager, there's nausea associated with it, it'd be more likely to be a migraine. But no, this is movement associated headache.
Okay. What kind of movement?
So if I twist and turn my head and my neck, it gets worse. Particularly looking up.
Okay. Have you ever suffered from, what's that disease that people like?
Vertigo?
Vertigo. Yes.
No.
You've never suffered from vertigo.
No.
Okay.
That's good though. Good question.
Should I not be a doctor?
I had to give you the word. So
Well,
if you actually said
details,
vertigo, that would have helped.
It's details, schmeetails, okay?
But you're on the right track.
Just call me Dr. Willis. You're welcome. Here's my card. Okay. I'm going to get this. I'm so close. Okay. And so all right, I'm not going to ask any more questions. I'm just going to make kind of I think you have some kind of, there's an injury in here. What is this part? Is this the cervical part?
Come on, doctor. That's right, yes. Yep.
Do you see this? Oh my gosh, listen, just tell Emory to send my medical degree down. Okay. So I think you have some kind of maybe something's happening in a disc here somewhere. I would like to do an MRI and just look a little bit further at the pictures and see if there's like maybe a gap in the discs. I don't know the formal words for it. It doesn't matter. There's a gap in the disc. Maybe there's some degeneration of, the slimy stuff.
So you were doing so well until you said the
slimy stuff. Cartilage.
Sure.
That's the word I was looking for.
Good.
A little degeneration of cartilage, because we might have some bone on bone in the cervical area of your spine. So let's start there, see what the pictures show, and then come back and I'll charge you more money on your next visit.
I don't do that. So good job. I think you're right. So we call it cervicogenic headache.
Oh my
right?
God! Give me the camera. Camera on me. Did you see that? Did you see what just happened?
She wasn't prepped.
I was not prepped at all. That's the whole point.
Good. But we do talk a lot. And I guess
listen, don't take my shine away.
I'll confer some of my degree to you.
Thank you. Awesome. Listen, that was fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't you tell people how they can get to you?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Michelle.
Absolutely.
This was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Again, the name is Zwade Marshall, Regenerative Spine and Pain Specialists. The phone number is 404-618-0995. We are taking new patients at this time. And then it's Doc2Doc Lending. That's Doc number 2, Doc, D-O-C, lending.com. And we are open for loans at this time as well, between $5,000 and $50,000 for physicians and dentists only.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And again, we've been able to see really what happens when you persevere, when you know that you have a passion inside of you, and you know you were put on this earth for something else, something more than just you. And you get examples every week on the According to Michelle show of what it looks like to not just be empowered, but to empower other people and to overcome any kind of odds, right? I mean, even to walk into a convalescent shelter and say, that's my next sister and your mom, adopt her, right? I mean, anything can happen in this world, and all it takes is just A little bit of passion and surrounding yourself sometimes with people a little bit smarter than you are. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We've got more According to Michelle coming up right after this commercial break. In the hustle of life, sometimes we forget what's important. Sometimes we need to think like children. Yes, business is important, but it's connection that builds a community. This is the spirit of the city of South Fulton. More lives here. Hey guys, we are here with Carmalitha Gumbs, City of South Fulton Councilwoman, and I think some of you may know who she is, but if you don't, I'm very happy to announce and to introduce to you City Councilwoman for the City of South Fulton, Carmalitha Gumbs. And that's what district are you in?
District 2.
District 2. I don't know, I wanted to say District 6.
Nope, not District 6.
I don't know, but District 2 for City of South Fulton. So everybody say, yay!
Yeah, it's the best district.
It is the best district. Now, you don't have to say that for everybody.
I know.
They're all the best districts. But super happy to have you. And of course, I don't know if you know this or not, but about 4 days ago, Chief Magistrate Judge Cassandra Kirk was sitting in that chair where you are right now. And she is, that's right, I was going to say, like AKAs back to back.
You know how we do it.
Hey, listen, we are killing it right now, right? Hashtag Kamala.
Yes, hashtag Kamala.
Hashtag Kamala. Mm-hmm. But I'm so happy to have you here because, you know, one of the things we really like to do on the According to Michelle show is give a platform for everybody that is doing great things or for people that are giving other people platforms, right? And certainly since City of South Fulton is now officially 3 years old, I think, right? Just celebrated third anniversary. And so you've really kind of helped issue the city in. And it's crazy. City of South Fulton is the third largest city in Georgia.
I know, it is. It's a beautiful city too.
It is. I do know. I love that place. I love that. I'd like to say I had a little something to do with it, putting it on the map. We're working on it for sure.
And you have definitely been a force to be reckoned with and represented South Fulton. So we definitely appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
And all that you do to put us on the map. So definitely. But yes, it is the third largest city. Of course, it's 97% African American. The most undeveloped land in Fulton County. So there's prime opportunities for entrepreneurs and businesses to come our way. So building a city from ground up has been challenging.
I know. Talk to us about that, because every time I hear somebody that, not complain, but they'll say, oh, we don't have this, or we're doing this, and even myself sometimes I'm like, oh, we got to get it together. But I remember the city is like brand new. It's only 3 years old. There's cities that have been around for hundreds of years that can't get it together. So certainly like 3 years in, we can't, right? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
It does make sense. But of course, we have been unincorporated South Fulton for quite some time.
Right.
So of course, when we become a city, it's only right that we expect certain things. So I mean, I get people are ready for things to happen, but it does take time with any local government. I tell people all the time, if you wait on local government, you will be waiting forever.
Yeah.
But we are making
especially if you're trying to get paid. I know that firsthand. Not necessarily City of South Fulton, but just government in general. Just government in general. City of South Fulton has been very good to me.
Well, good. But yeah, it takes a while to get things done with local government.
Why is that?
Bureaucracy, the red tape, and that's some of the things that we have really tried to work on, especially for new businesses, trying to cut the red tape so much so we can be more of a business-friendly community and wanting businesses to do business with the City of South Fulton. So we are really, really trying to cut down on the red tape. We inherited a lot of processes from Fulton County. Not all of them have been the greatest. So we're trying to tweak and, make things work for our city. So.
Right. Keep what works and adjust what doesn't.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But we've done a lot. We've made a lot of strides in 3 years. It's almost amazing the amount of things that we've accomplished.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to circle back to that, right? And about what the city has been able to accomplish. But let's talk a little bit about you. So you're marketing by trade, right?
Yes.
Did you imagine yourself going into politics? Is this, was this a track for you, or?
I had no idea. None whatsoever. I don't even really, sometimes I think, how did I even get here? But I was going through a transition with my job, and then I started working for a small planning firm. You may know it, the collaborative firm.
Oh, yeah.
So
Michael Hightower. How
yes.
You can't even talk about South. There's two names that you can't miss when you talk about South Fulton County. That's Bill Edwards
and Michael Hightower. Yikes.
Oh, you worked for Michael. That's
so
hilarious.
yeah, I was his director of marketing and communications. Okay. So, and working with Michael, he fast and furious and pushes you into the realm of politics. And then I started working I was the chief of staff for one of the elected officials in DeKalb County.
Got you.
And at that time, we were going through the process of really trying to finalize becoming a city, and it finally passed. And people started throwing their names out there. And
73 people.
It was 73 people that ran in that race. It was amazing. I had 12 people that ran against me. So it was something.
So what made you want to throw your name in the hat?
So I think initially, after looking at all of the candidates and seeing what they had to bring, no offense, because they are my friends now, but I thought that I had the most experience, the skills, and the background to help kind of move things forward. Mm-hmm. So I just said, let me try it. I sat down, I talked with my friends, I talked with my family, and I said, I'm gonna need your support.
Yeah.
And of course, my daughter was like, no, but
she didn't want you to do it.
No.
Why? How old? Because she just graduated from high school, right? She's going to Spelman.
Mm-hmm.
So she must have been maybe 15, 16? Yeah, at the time.
I've lost track of time. But they didn't want to live in a fishbowl. They didn't want their life to be disrupted. And of course, I've tried to maintain a lot of my privacy when it comes to that, because, with your family, those are the first people
that's what they hit. That's what they hit.
So it was a learning lesson, but again, they supported me. Mm-hmm. I did it. I ran off a prayer and a penny, and literally. Because of course, with so many people in the race, it was really hard to fundraise.
Right. Because everybody's asking for the same money.
Everybody's asking for the same money, and then there were already people in place that they already kind of spot out for this position.
Right.
So I guess for me, I was a disruptor. I think that was more of what I could call myself.
Okay.
Yeah, a social disruptor.
Social disruptor. Not to be confused with social distancer. Or maybe to be confused, because you're social distancing and you're social disruptor now. Yes. So speaking of disruptor, is that always been a thing for you? Were you like the little kid? So do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have sisters. I was the middle child, and they say the middle child is always the one trying to find her place.
So does that fit accurately?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so. And the only reason is because you struggle being, trying to be the baby, and then you struggle trying to be the,
Right.
And then also the apple of your mom's eye, but two other people you got to compete with being in the middle. So, yes, I think it fits me perfectly.
So what if I asked your sisters, if I said, has Carmalitha always been kind of a disruptor, what would they say and how would they describe you?
They would say yes. I am the one that keeps up the most ruckus. I'm the most independent, I could say that, because I moved away when I was 17 after I graduated, went off to college and never came back home. So,
which is completely opposite of Cassandra Kirk, because she stayed home. Did you see last week's show? Cassandra Kirk stayed home until she was like 105 years old.
What?
Like, she literally did not leave her house till she was 35. And she's proud of it. And I asked her about it on the show last week. It was so funny. But I was like you. Mm-hmm. When I left to go to high school or college, I was like, I'm not coming back to this lady's house. She's crazy.
I don't think it was more my mom was crazy. I just think that I was so ambitious that I wanted more. And I wanted to see more. We were living in a very small town in Virginia. So for me, it was like, I got to get out of this four walls and, to see what's out there. And of course, I saw everything, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the people and really engaging the community.
Right.
That is my biggest thing, because I think people need to really understand local government and how it works for them.
Right.
Yeah, I was telling Joy earlier that people don't understand, even though big elections are important and we definitely got to get out and vote, in November. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, get on your soapbox.
But local government affects you more than anything.
Right.
And people don't take those races that seriously.
Right.
So it's my goal to just kind of make sure people are energized, that they're taking part of being, in local government, answering their questions, being responsive and things of that nature. So I think that's one of my biggest things, and that's one of the platforms that I did run on, is just making sure that we have a more responsive government for the people. Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting you say that, but so one thing I think is cool is you mentioned that your first job was in social services. Mm-hmm. And you worked there, but one of the things I'm getting from you is kind of this community feel. I know a lot of the things that you guys do, that you specifically do in the community. But this feel of wanting to be engaged in the community, wanting to be engaged in the local community, but also really wanting to serve the community. Yes. And I'm wondering how much, kind of where you are now, where you might end up, was fueled by your first job working in social services, even though it was government. I mean, that's where you kind of cut your teeth on what you're doing now, right?
I look back at it, and I think that was probably, when you do social work, you feel like you're going to save the world.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the foundation that I have. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to save everybody. We're going to have this wonderful utopia. And then, you
can't reality gives you a swift kick in the face.
Reality does give you a swift kick in the face. But that is probably the foundation that has really, pushed me to just understand people, how to interact with people, managing people's expectations.
Right.
Because again, you can't satisfy everybody.
You can't. And it's funny, I interviewed someone on the radio show not too long ago, and one of the things they were saying is just talking about the negativity sometimes that people have, and we as people, just saying like, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. And he was like, listen, everybody's never going to be on the same accord. Mm-hmm. But if we can just get a group of people to be positive and be on the same accord, that'll be enough to push forward. We don't need everybody. Mm-hmm. We just need some like-minded individuals. Yeah. And I think, that's kind of one of the things that maybe one of the places you've landed where, I'm not going to have everybody, but if I can get this group in the community to push this agenda, right? Mm-hmm. If I can get this group to push this, then locally we'll be able to make strides.
I agree. I think too, and as you mentioned we're very hard on each other as people. We say mean and real crass things to one another, and I get it that it's politics, but I always tell people to keep it on the issues. Right. Not the fact that you don't like how my hair looks or how, the outfit that I wear may be a little snug, but that's what people like to do as far as attack your character.
Right.
Because they don't understand the issues.
Right.
So that's one of the things too, because I also mentor a lot of young women and encourage them to run for office. But a lot of them are afraid because they don't want, like I said, you're in a bubble. Right. You're out there in the open for everybody to see and kind of pick you apart. So my goal is to tell people to be their authentic self. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I ever told you this, that, the first time I got in the office, I was told, oh, your dress is too short, or you need to take off some of that makeup. You need, people like you better if you didn't have eyelashes. Keep it on the issue.
But, like if my ends need to be trimmed, I'm trying to figure out, like, why is that a challenge for us right now? But, Sasha the Diva, do you know Sasha the Diva?
Yes.
Okay. So she actually is she's in the magazine for October. But we interviewed her a few weeks ago, and one of the things she said was like, everybody's talking about like, oh, I don't like your hair, I don't like, this. And she's like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, just listen to the radio. Like, just listen to the station. Like, you don't even have to look at me. Like,
well, it takes a while to, especially if you're new to the game, it takes a while to build some tough skin. And it took me a while, because at first I was one of those ones that, I love engaging people, but if you say something.
Oh, you're a disruptor. You're ready to go in.
I'm ready to go in. But then I realized that, you know what? It just fuels the fire, and sometimes you can't really cut it off. I remember one time we were going through this whole thing about sanitation. They put my picture in a trash can, and I was like, well, at least I look cute in the trash can. But I was like, really concerned because my daughter was able to see it, and that's not the image of what I want women that comes into politics to see. I want them to know that they can do this, but there will be attacks, and it's just, that's not how I am. I want to make women feel uplifted. I want to take them through this process so they can feel encouraged and run for office as well. So it's those type of things that kind of, takes the wind out your sails a little bit, but I still kind of press on and keep it moving. It was exciting for me to take my daughter to go vote with me for the first time. And she was super excited. We sat down and we were reading, people's bios and what they did. And she actually disagreed with me on one of them, but, I let her do her thing. But, just the fact of her wanting to vote, and she reached out to her friends, making sure that they're registered to vote. So I think it's a process that we need to just make sure that everybody's going through.
Absolutely. Guys, we're here with City Councilwoman Carmalitha Gumbs from District 2 in City of South Fulton. We are talking about politics, local politics, community engagement, and the fact that her daughter is headed to Spelman.
Yeah.
Or as at Spelman now, right?
Spelman.
I forgot. School has
started. She's not out my house yet, but she has.
Well, we don't want to put her on campus quite yet, right? Yeah.
But I was looking forward to being a sort of kind of empty nester, but I'd rather have her home and safe. So
it is kind of nice to have them home, right?
No, not really.
Sorry. I was saying that because, one of mine might be an earshot. I thought I'd say something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think our kids now are in a very interesting position, right? Because there's so many different ways that they can go with the voting thing, with the state of the country as it relates to race, with education, financial literacy. There's really a pivotal point for these 17 to 21 year olds, right?
I agree. They came in at a tough period because my baby was a 9/11 baby.
Wow.
So of course, it's not funny, but we talk about it all the time. It was like, you have been through it.
Yes.
You came in at a time, you were born during 9/11, and then now, this whole global pandemic. So, missing out on key opportunities such as things that we took for granted, like graduating, prom,
I know.
Her new prom dress is still hanging in her closet. I'm like, we got to sell this baby.
Or she's going to wear it. Maybe she can wear it somewhere.
Maybe I'll wear it somewhere.
She's like, I'll take that, please. Thank you.
But, all of the things that we look forward to, graduating, and she was super stoked about graduating. But it really crushed her soul when they weren't able, in March, they had to just stay at home, and just trying to keep them connected as friends, But it's a very difficult time, but I actually think this is the new way of life.
Well, I'm excited that you are here. We have to play a quick game. As you guys know, we always play a game at the end, according to Michelle, at the end of this segment. So the game I have for you, I have two games slated. I want to try this one game. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's called Name That Person. Okay? So I'm going to be somebody in the city of South Fulton, and you have to tell me who I am.
On the council? Or
any person of. Okay.
I hope this don't get me in trouble.
It's not. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Okay, ready? I got the best district out here. I'm out here. I clean the roads. I got people out here, and we're going around, and I'm just out here for the people. I'm in the sanitation business, not really sanitation, but we really care about all of our citizens out here, and I'm honoring people in my district. And I'm really nice, and I'm always smiling. I'm walking around, and I love Harold's Chicken and Ice Bar.
That's Corey?
Yeah, you got it!
I was wondering. I was like, wait a minute. I like Harold's Chicken and Waffle too. Okay.
Oh yeah, you got it. Okay, you got that one. Okay, let's do one more. Okay.
All right.
How about this one? I don't care what these people say. I built South Fulton, and I will go wherever I need to go and get done because I care about the citizens of the city of South Fulton County. South Fulton County is me, and I am it.
That ain't nobody but Bill Edwards.
Yeah.
That is nobody but our mayor.
I mean, the accents are a little off, but clearly you got the, okay. All right, that's all we have time for Name That Person, which was actually great. You came up with that name. That was actually good.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome. Guys, listen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of According to Michelle. Thank you for coming. Make sure you support Carmalitha Gumbs. You want to tell people how they can get you?
So they can definitely find me on Facebook at Carmalitha Gumbs on Facebook without the L. The L is my private. So if I know you, you may get on. But I just want to continue to encourage you, Michelle, for all that you do for South Fulton and continue to support us. We definitely need you. Maybe you can be our official publication one day. To
for the city shoot.
For the
I'd have
city.
7 other cities very upset with me.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. But we're trying to take her from everybody. But again, that's where you can find me, or you can email me at carmalitha.gumbs@cityofsouthfultonga. Please remember to vote. This upcoming election is very, very important. I won't tell you who to vote for, but I can mention the colors that they may represent, which are pink and green and maybe blue and white. I don't know. But please make sure you go out and vote. So again, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my honor, and I'm so glad you're here. We had such a good time. Yeah. Guys, it's been another episode of According to Michelle with me, of course, Michelle Taylor Willis. Thank you as always for tuning in. And if you want to ever find me, I'm not hard to find. I'm at Michelle Taylor Willis on just about everything. But thank you for tuning in. You can always find us here at 5 p.m. every Wednesday on the AIB network. And until next week, see you soon.